Mm. We'll
Yeah.
just start
Okay.
off from this slide then. I guess the people just miss out.
I
That's
mean, no,
fine.
we just go back a slide.
We'll just send.
Or
Right.
just real quick, amino acids, structure, enzymes, proteins. You guys
Is it
have already done this
recording?
first year. This is recording now. The big chunk with the first section is metabolism, a lot of respiration, very complicated. You'll need to know the small details of everything. It's a lot to get used to, but just kind of look over it a few times and you'll be okay. Next slide. It's a very brief summation. All right, so next, genetics. Again, we assume you would have had some background with this in first year. What was this on? Was this like the short tandem repeats and like the
Yep.
jumping genes?
Yep. And the operant stuff.
Operant stuff, yeah.
Remember
So
that?
a lot of this, a lot of the context of MCB, right? They like to link everything to cancer, especially in the exam, but just throughout all the content. It's the unifying theme of everything that you can pretty much tie stuff to. And here we're looking at genes, gene regulation. Obviously directly impacts cancer. A lot of the genetics they talk about is like mechanisms of mutation, different types of mutation, right? Different like consequences of those mutations, like frame shift mutations, missense, nonsense. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else there with genetics? It's like just how genes work, or maybe all the steps of protein transcription. So like from DNA to RNA to protein.
There's not much on this. It's just pretty much a lot of genetic stuff. And there is like a big emphasis on cancer and like how it works. Like it's pretty much just how cancer is a multi-step process, and it's to do with like random gene mutations to different things, which then causes the cell to act weird. Yeah.
Fair. That is cancer.
Literally that. Yeah.
And then the last thing here, development. So this was like embryonic development. Again, I think you guys had stuff on this in your subject you just did. But yeah, just they use model organisms to model that. I guess this is not a big part of the subject. So yeah, I think
Like a tiny part. It's like flies and whatnot.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. All right, I reckon
Yeah.
next slide. And then once we go over all the topics, we'll give you like a brief overview of Lawrence's notes, I think. And then we'll do the next session. But yeah, next slide.
Next slide.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah, I remember this. Now it was just cell stuff. What goes on in the cell, different organelles. You again would have had background. They prepare you well for this session. Decent bit of background in a lot of the stuff. But yeah, different cell compartments, all the steps in protein synthesis. It's like the production, the ER, the Golgi, all that stuff, and then degradation, lysosome, the whole pathway you look at. You look at how things are transported in vesicles from one place to another, like the whole mechanism of vesicle formation. Like with Clathrin, remember the what are they called? The shapes.
What shapes? The adapters?
No, the Clathrin. It's like it's like the frame. I don't know. It's all the little bits of frame fit together to form like the shape of the vesicle. But yeah, it's like you learn about how that works. Cytoskeleton trafficking of things within the cell from one place to another. Yeah, and then I guess cell communication signaling. I don't really remember too much about that specifically, but the main emphasis here is on just how things are moved throughout the cell and like the different pathways and processes to take in things, to degrade things, to make things. But,
yeah.
Anything else you want to say here? Yeah, next slide.
This is often a pretty big part for like integration, I guess.
Yep.
Because like, what did they do last year? I'm trying to think.
I mean, this year?
This year. Yeah, this year. Like the pathways. It was the protein pathways. In terms of like, and it's just like in a different context. Like the context that we had was like something to do with Was it antibodies or something else?
Quite
Or we had
possible.
something.
Oh no, maybe
I forgot
disease.
what it was.
Maybe it might have been like a virus or
Yeah, it
something.
was like a disease or something.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, like a really good way to study for this block or this kind of topic is you'll learn some different pathways or like mechanisms of how proteins are moved or like how things are shuffled. And a really good way of um, learning this, or what they commonly test, is like mutations. So like what happens if this part changes, of the, like this process changes? What would happen to the whole mechanism? Like what would happen to like endocytosis if the vesicles didn't form or whatnot?
Yeah. This is yeah, it's
Yeah,
just like oh the virus diffuses this step, or it's like oh what step in this pathway would where would the virus be degraded if it was endocytosed and yeah, stuff happen. Anyway, next slide I reckon.
next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, this is more you, right? Yes.
Yeah. Um, this one was probably one of my favorite bits of MCB, which is why I decided to choose. There's a second year, like a second semester selective, or like a kind of like an elective that's to do with infection and immunity, called MIMS, microbes and infections. Um, Pretty much you learn the bare basics of infection and immunity. Pretty much, it's it's if you have some science kids, it's basically like a bit like a big chunk taken off like the science kids who would be doing like the immunology kind of principles of immunity subject. I'm not sure what it's called, but you pretty much go over bacteria, viruses, and ways we can treat them. So antibiotics, you learn about the different classes. I think we briefly touched over antivirals for viruses. We learn about like bacterial metabolism and like ways to characterize bacteria based on their differences. We also learned about, I guess the main kind of thing over here is that bacteria and viruses have very unique ways of kind of evading our immune system to cause disease. And I thought that was pretty
Ask it on
interesting.
the exam. And that's like how name 3 ways bacteria can camouflage themselves from the immune system. Yeah.
Yeah, they can do like insane stuff. Like they're just better than us.
Well, they
But
mutate. Yeah, they
yeah.
make mutation very quick and everything. So all sorts of interesting things they do.
Mhm.
They list a lot of examples, right? They're like, oh, this is one case study. This is how this bacteria or virus functions in surviving in the body or
Yeah.
the immune system. You learn like I think you learn about you have your beneficial microflora, fauna,
Mhm.
and then like your gut microbiome and stuff, and then there's the balance between that and becoming pathogenic, which is I think the next topic, pathogenesis. Actually, no, it's right here as well. But I remember from this most clearly is the adaptive immunity stuff. So they're gonna give you a very deep, well, in my opinion, very deep understanding of immune system, right? So you have innate immunity, like I don't know what's innate immunity lens. Already forgotten.
Um,
Cytokines,
yes.
inflammation, that kind of stuff. And then so kind of your first wave defense, and then you look at the mammalian, immune system, unique adaptive immunity, with its
Mm.
B and T cells, like antibodies, like tailor-made things for the pathogen. It takes a little longer to
Yeah.
act. You learn how this works. You learn, how antibodies are generated to be unique to certain things. You learn about autoimmune, diseases. So again, what goes wrong in the pathway, right? So you learn, okay, this is how the immune system works. What happens if this part's overactive? What happens if this step isn't working, right? Then you'll have immune disorders. Yeah, next slide. Okay. Oh, this one. Yeah, necrosis and uh, apoptosis
The other
and
one.
all
Yeah.
the other one. Yeah. You learn about the differences. So different types of injury. So you have different levels of injury. Irreversible, reversible. I think sometimes the injury is not severe enough, not that severe, and your body can adapt, fix itself. Adaptation. Sometimes it goes wrong. yeah, injury, death. You learn about the different types and mechanisms of cell death, the different characteristics. It's a lot. I remember a lot of pathways in which cell death can occur, either controllably or uncontrollably. Do you remember, like, what was it?
Yeah.
Like, for example, the plasma membrane becomes perforated, or something to do with mitochondria, or like
Yeah.
reactive oxidative species inside.
Yeah. It's kind of all over the place, to be honest. I don't know. I found patho like this last bit kind of all over the place. It was pretty hard to get your head around.
So, yeah, because there's all sorts of ways, like, you could start the thing, and they kind of interlinked. The whole was like a network of like steps that can occur. But again, summary diagrams would probably help there. Wound healing, repair, fibrosis. Yeah. So inflammation, long-term inflammation. Sometimes you have, the cells can't heal, and you get fibrosis, which is collagen stuff laid down instead. Yeah. Instead of like the cells themselves regenerating, some types of cells are unable to. Some types of cells are very able to regrow. Immune-mediated injury. So again, what I mentioned with autoimmune disorders, immune system goes wrong, attacks your own body. And then neoplasia. Okay, so this is cancer again.
Yeah,
right?
that was cancer again, pretty much. Yeah.
Growth. With cancer, because that's week 12, so this is the last topic. Cancer. Looking back, you look at the hallmarks of cancer, general characteristics. Look at all the different types of mutations that occur. They have tumor suppressor genes and oncogenes, which I think you guys know about as well. You learn about all the different important pathways, right? Common pathways which are dysregulated in cancer, like the RAS, MAPK, MAPKK, MAPKKK thing.
Yeah, just weird names.
And there's all sorts of steps there. So you learn about cell checkpoints. It's like the natural defenses in place in the body to prevent cancer from growing. Sometimes your body can detect there's something wrong. There's some DNA being miscopied or something. It can cause the cell cycle to pause. So, there's no more proliferation. If that isn't fixed, then it can cause the cell to undergo apoptosis, which is controlled cell death, which you also learn about here again. But yeah, I think that's really about it. Now that we say it doesn't seem so bad, right? It's like, it's a few topics.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. That's pretty much about it.
Like, do you want to?
It's a lot of content.
It's a lot. Actually, for that, I reckon you want to show your notes now, and just like we'll have a brief insight into
okay. I'll show you how I kind of organized my theme. Let's do it. Okay, I need to start this screen sharing, right? I have to redo it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm stuck. Wait.
Can you
see this?
Hold on. It's a little.
Please.
I can hear you. Now it's here. Yeah, that's it.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Wait. Okay, my internet's unstable, but that's fine.
That's right.
Okay. This is pretty much how I kind of did my notes. Pretty much I did them by like little subtopics, and I had like the big blocks in different colors. So I'm still alive, right? My internet's not dead, right?
Yeah, you're a little. It's okay now, though.
All right, it's okay. Did you guys hear what I said before?
Yes, we did. It's fine.
Okay. So like, for example, in terms of like a summary thing, I'll just show you like the metabolism part. It's like pretty thick. So this is kind of what I wrote up on my iPad. Like literally, like I watched the things, and before I even did anything, I literally just made like a massive summary. And it's like, it's crazy. Like you can tell it's crazy. But it's really good to like do summary tables or whatnot, because it just helps you to like condense everything pretty nicely.
This is like, this seems like it's cluttered, and like, surely we don't need to know every one of those things, but you might, because they do ask quite specific things in MSTs especially. No, this here's a good example of condensed notes. Like like I said, it seems cluttered, but this is good and summarized and very neat. I'll show you mine in a second. There's complete opposite of this. But yeah, God, there's a lot of stuff.
What else? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff from I remember.
I don't reckon we have to show them those.
There's not really much else.
Yeah,
exactly. Like if you like open one of them, there's a lot of notes. Basically, if you just open one of them, it takes like a while to load up. because there's just a lot of things.
Mhm.
But that's kind of how I organized it. I think Stone might have done it a different way.
Yeah, I'm
Do you
pulling that
wanna?
up in a second. Yeah, hold on. All right, you gotta stop sharing, D. Okay, same one, 2021. That's the, yep, MCB. Hold on one second. So let me open this up. Summary, compiled notes. I have compiled notes in 3 documents because they don't fit in one document. Oh, okay. Let me just pull up one of them for you. And this should have the thing. Okay, so this is share screen. So the way I did it was I'd take, so yeah, definitely don't recommend this if things are in person, but I would take essentially a transcript of a lot of things. Actually, can you still see this? Can you still see the window?
Wait, have you shared your screen? Yes. Okay, I see it.
Yeah, can you see it? The module 1?
Yeah, I can see your Word document, the compiled
Yeah, yeah.
notes Word document
Yeah, you just
that
word
has
doc.
like 123,000 words.
All right, so this is page 1 of 379. This is a third of my notes, right? This is
What
3
the?
times that. So it's like over 1,000 pages. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
do
like
it. It's only recommended if A, you have time for it, and B, it's online. Because if it's online, you know, it's diminishing returns, right? So they can ask very specific things in which I could control F here, find a specific thing. But again, you should prioritize your understanding of the stuff, integration, because that'll matter a lot more. It's only like if you can do that, maybe go into trying to look at the small details. But yeah, not necessarily recommended, but it's the way I went about it. I ended up highlighting and bolding the things I even looked at to revise. So if you look here, literally just like 3-4 words. I was just like, yeah, I'll remember how that works. Let me just find the respiration stuff. Um, uh, Here we go. Is it? Oh, this is enzyme kinetic. Michaelis Menten. Yeah, there's a bit of maths actually. They made us do draw a graph in the exam, right? Didn't they?
yeah,
They
they
did
did. No,
calculation.
wait, no, didn't they?
Yeah,
No, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
calculations. It was
Let's calculate.
calculations.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah,
remember the
calculator handy.
older kids were complaining about having to do it. We're like, oh, surely we won't do it, but a bit of this stuff pops up. It's not that bad. It looks kind of bad, but it's all right. Yeah, here we go. So see how like Lawrence had this entire pathway kind of condensed into one uniform diagram, one centralized diagram. Very good. Me, I took the lecture like slides and I just basically the Word document has each step separately. There's no summary thing because I didn't have time. But like this is just one step in that diagram which Lawrence had, right? So you had one thing goes to another thing, the enzyme, the role of the enzyme, what it's doing, if it's spontaneous or not, how the reaction is driven forward. A lot of this is like rationalizing why this goes from left to right instead of right to left because a lot of them are reversible, as you see here. But yeah, you see like for every step, and then there's a lot. Yeah, not a lot of scary guys, but they give you time. Like as long as you're keeping up to date with it, you should be okay. Anyway, that's stop and share for that. I go back to the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
Mm,
I think now we're going to talk about assessments.
yeah.
I think that's the next slide. Yeah. Okay. So
See that?
yeah, take us through.
Yeah. Okay, so pretty much the only like the assessment's not that bad during the semester. It's just the 2 big MSTs. They were 20%. So they cover, so the first one covers like the first 2 topics that you'll go through, and then the second one covers the next 2. So there's no pathology. I don't think there was pathology in like the last block. I don't think there was the last block. Yeah, it's just these ones. And throughout the week, throughout the semester, you go through 5 of these cows, or like they call it pracs. It's literally just like an online prac, unless if it's in person, then it might be a bit different. But it's pretty much, they're pretty chill. It's just additional work basically that you have to do in your spare time. You literally have to take notes for it, and then
it's examinable.
There's like a
exam.
yeah, it's also examinable, and there's like a post prac thing that you have to do that's worth 2%. It's usually just like a simple multiple choice quiz.
Yeah, like the quiz, the 2% itself is like pretty manageable, pretty easy. Just don't forget to do it. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah,
list,
just don't forget.
Don't forget. Yeah. But yeah, counts like content wise, they might ask a few questions in the exam. Maybe it's multi-choice. Maybe it's like one of the short answers. They'll be like, oh, talk to us about, something specific to the calc. But otherwise, MSc is good. Again, very exam weighted subject. Very exam weighted subject. You'll see if you come to our session later on, right after this with HSF, which is the other double subject for semester 2. That is far less exam heavy. That's like 40% exams. So this is 70%. 2 exams because it's a massive subject. It's just a lot. Kids are obviously worried about short answer questions because that's where you have to integrate things, right? All these, I have notes. I just stuff my extensive document, but short answers, that's when you have to like know the stuff and very quickly, just like, okay, I can link that with that. This is how I pull these 2 topics together. But yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, next, if anyone has a question, by the way, say something in chat as we go. But next. Yeah.
Tips and tricks. So I reckon the best one would probably be the mind maps or like just summary diagrams for each kind of topic block thing. The next thing that's probably important is, for example, like I don't know what you did, Stone, but like what I did was for exam revision, the best way to probably revise for this is to think about like the different kind of possible links that you can make between the different topics, between the different content that you've learned. Group study things might be also pretty nice just to talk through stuff, to like kind of just consolidate your knowledge. Just like the rest is just pretty much some general tips. Do you have anything else to add?
I think so in first year, I ended up cramming a lot of my subjects. I did like that maths for bio in like 3 days. It's not good. A horrible time. Don't do that. Cannot cram for MCB. It's impossible. Yeah. It's too much. Also, I don't know if it'll be the same for you guys, but for us, all of our exams were within the first few days, like after swap back. So as soon as they could, right? So it'd be really nice if you had another week after swap back to study for this thing, but you might not, because they really like putting them like the exact day the swap back ends. But so yeah, because of that, not much time to cram. Also very hard to cram, just this sheer amount of content that you have to keep on linking, things back and forth. So yeah, for me, biggest tip is consistent revision. I go through a chunk, and when I had time, go back through it, because every time, like they told us this in the lecture. It was like they had a study where every time you look at a topic, you remember a bit more. So it's like your knowledge of it will go up, time will pass, you'll forget a little bit, go back down. Then you look at it again, and then it goes up, but then it like plateaus at a higher level. You retain more over time, and you do it again and again, and it gets faster every time you revise. Again, what I did was organizing notes. So less important, well, still important, but less important if it's in person. But if it's on online exam and you have to navigate this big document like I had, at least bold things, at least highlight things, right? Because at a glance, you'll need to find things very quickly, know how to navigate your notes if you're going to rely on them. But yeah, otherwise, my biggest thing is just consistent revision.
Don't sleep on it, basically. You'll be pretty much doing like 3 subjects, unless including this one, unless you do like a summer subject. But I feel like you shouldn't neglect on this one. If you're behind in everything, this should be the one that you want to kind of keep up to date with.
Yeah,
because it's double weighted. Yeah.
So it's like those assessments we just showed you guys on the previous slide. If you want to go back, what slide was? But I mean, very simple point to make here. But like, yeah, see, look, those cows are 2% each, right? Total 10%. But that's 10% for double subject. That's 20% of a normal subject. Your MST, 10%. You're like, okay, 10%. Yeah, it's okay, MST, right? But it's actually 20% of a normal subject. So everything matters a lot more. That exam, it's worth 140%. It's worth 1.4 subjects. So know this stuff. Again, it's not very compartmentalized knowledge that you can just kind of learn and be like, okay, that's it. It's this whole unified thing you have to consciously be aware of. So yeah, prioritize this. Anyway, I think that's all we've got to say for the assessment and tips and tricks. Now we're going to open up to Q&A, I think. Actually, no, one last point. Online versus in person. Yeah. Just go back one slide.
Yep.
Sorry, I should have seen it. I don't know. Like, do you have any tips for like what happens in some person? How would you approach this? It's very
yikes. Tough. Honestly, like it's actually low-key tough. Like if it's in person, hats off. If you guys can like survive to that, like
don't say that. No, if it's in person.
It's a really well-made subject. Like it's honestly really coordinated. Like every lecturer, you'll find that every lecturer that you'll learn will know like what the other lecturers have been teaching you. And it's like, it's really well made.
Yeah. It's like when they're writing.
It's nicely, they write it together.
Online versus, so if you're in person, don't do what I did. Don't write a massive document with all the tiny details. You might lose a few marks with small things. They're asking for an enzyme name for a certain step, can't remember it, that's okay. Go try to get the broad strokes understanding, because that'll carry you a long way with an integrated subject like this. That's about it. Like they should adjust the difficulty of assessments based on in person. Like don't worry, they're not going to give you like an online difficulty for an assessment. Because kids before, like us and before the year above us, they did this in person. They were all fine. So if they can manage it, then you can.
Yeah, it's a really fun subject. Like honestly, like you learn so much. You'll find that you'll learn like it's just a big opener, I guess.
But okay, I think Q&A now, and then we can have some finishing notes at the end. But okay, well, there's nothing on this slide, but this is like the most valuable thing for you this session with us right now is probably to ask questions. So fire away, please. Kat, I reckon turn your camera on. That's good. But I think so if you wanna say it, like you can, welcome to unmute, turn your camera on, and say something. If you're not comfortable with that, then go ahead and ask any questions in the chat. Oh, this is Catherine.
Hi guys, sorry, I'm late.
That's all right. Wow, this is
Hey, sorry, I've got a question.
Yeah.
With the spaced revision, how do you kind of manage the time of that in tandem with doing your study? Like, how do you split it up?
They split what up, sorry?
Like your time between just studying what like the content is for that week and doing the revision for the previous weeks.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say there's actually an app for this. I don't know if you guys have heard of Anki. It's cue cards, but it does programmed spaced revision for you. So if you just set aside, like I did this for HSF, I didn't do it for MCB, but I kind of wish I had. If you just set aside like 15 minutes at the end of a night when you're sitting watching TV, and you can just go through some questions from last week's topic, and Anki will program which ones you should do. That can be really helpful. Otherwise, also like, even if you just do 15 minutes of just reading through notes from last week, you could also just do that. It's just like those little things to just refamiliarize yourself.
I think so just like whenever you have time, honestly, like for me, I might find a weekend, a morning, which I could be like, okay, I actually have some time for this, I'll go do that. It's been proactive with it. Otherwise, like even just trying to understand what is going on that week will go a long way. Because come swap back, if you have all your notes organized for everything and you kind of understand each thing, separately, you have a whole week in which you can go and just try linking things, right? Otherwise, just try when you can, honestly. I think my opinion, I don't know if other people agree, but like study like a gas. So it's like if you have more to study, you'll just be more efficient. It like expands to fill how much time and space you have around your schedule. So Lawrence, do you have any input on how you manage the?
Like what I did for each topic. So like probably like what might be helpful is like maybe at the end of the week, like during like a weekend or something, I literally just got my iPad out and just wrote down or summarize or like wrote down as much as I knew on the paper first, and then kind of go back over it, using my notes to kind of fill in the blanks or any gaps that I didn't really understand or like, yeah, wasn't really too sure about. I'd probably just Google. Wikipedia is actually your best friend, even though all the teachers be like, yeah, Wikipedia kind of sucks. But yeah, it's really good.
There's a lot of stuff. I think MCB was good. Like they teach you what they test you on. HSF is slightly different. HSF is slightly different. Yeah. We'll talk about that in the next session. But I just remember now you're saying it was. What I did, was I had my notes, right, which is like basically a transcript, unannotated. For my revision, I literally just go back, bold the things, highlight the things I wanted to come back to, things I thought I wouldn't remember later. So that when I come back, when I did revise, it was way faster than reading through notes. Sorry, no sections. But yeah. Sorry, do we have a question? No, okay. But yeah, no, just annotating notes for me was how I kind of revised as I went. Yeah, okay. Any other? We had a lot of questions about MCB in our revision lecture for first year bio, right? This is interesting because we have more questions there about MCB than in the actual thing right now. But
I feel like when I was you guys, like the main thing I wanted to know about was the amount of content, and I think that the boys covered that, but I would really recommend doing a summer subject this coming summer to offload, to offset some of that stress, because it can be, it is a big subject, and it is worth 2 subjects, and you can become pretty involved in it. So I would definitely suggest doing a summer subject to try to just make this the first semester a bit easier for yourself, especially while you're just trying to get used to these double subjects. And so once you've done 1 semester with a double subject, you can decide if you want to still do 3 subjects in semester 2. But I offloaded, like I underloaded in both my semesters and did a summer or winter subject, and I found that really, really, really good and helpful.
We all did, and we all did the same subjects, I think. Yeah, we did, right? We all did, yeah. We can recommend those later, but yeah, I don't know, honestly. It's doable. Some people do like the full load, so 4 individual subjects worth, which is MCB and 2 individual subjects. Some people manage that, and some of our friends were fine with that. We did MCB in 1 subject during semester, which was a selective, right? Or was it like, did you do food or something?
Yeah, I did food as like another subject. Yeah, alongside MCB. Yeah, it's like a selective. Yeah, I think there's a food kind of. There's a session on food.
There is today. Yeah.
I don't know when it is. Yeah.
I think food is the main one people did for the selective.
I think a lot of people. I don't know what I did. Food. I don't know. What did you do, Stone?
I didn't do any because I had a credit.
You just used your. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Kat, did you do food as well?
In Sem 1, yeah, I did.
Yeah. I don't know what other
genetics.
Other people would have done like biopsych. I know there's genetics.
Genetics, psych.
Yeah.
I think there was I'm not actually sure. There'll be subjects like those coming up today. But definitely don't do one that you think is going to be easy. Do one that you enjoy, because we'll discuss that a bit later, but I did ones that I thought would be easy, and like they weren't too bad, but I didn't like them, so I didn't study for them, and like it reflects, so do one that you still enjoy.
Yeah. How's the workload?
Oh, sorry.
There's a question on the chat, and it says, how's the workload of MCB compared to HSF? Does anyone want to have a go at that?
I'd say about equal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, both pretty.
MCB may be a little bit more. It just depends on what you're good, like what you enjoy. Like if you're the kind of person that really enjoys like immunology or like molecular biology, then you're going to love MCB. But if you're the kind of person that loves anatomy and physiology, then you're going to love HSF. And so like what you think of the workload or how hard you think it is, like will be dependent on that.
Yeah, definitely agree. Generally, MCB is it is detailed, but it's also, like we said over and over again, and your lecturers will love saying this, integrated, a lot of links. But HSF is, because it's anatomy and physiology, it's a bit more compartmentalized. It's more small details. So what type of study you like doing, that goes into, Okay,
I just have a question about some subjects. So I've got a question about whether I just did MCB on its own or I did another subject with MCB. So because MCB is worth 2 subjects, and usually during a semester you'll do 4 subjects, that's how many generally you would do to meet your credit points for your degree. You have to like complete 4 subjects overall in that kind of space. So what I did was I did MCB in semester 1 along with food and nutrition, which is worth 1 subject. So technically I was doing 3 subjects in semester 1. 3 subjects worth, I guess. And then I did my summer subject, which is worth 1 subject at the start. So overall I did 4 subjects worth. During the semester, I only did 3 subjects worth by doing MCB with food and nutrition.
I did that as well, but instead of selective, I did a breadth. That was some breadth subject, but yeah, that's the load. Food and nutrition. You guys want to go into Ryan's question about the food and nutrition with MCB?
Yeah, with MCB, it was pretty good. Food and nutrition, like MCB kind of covers some of food and nutrition, so there's like a little portion of MCB that you don't really have to study too hard for. I personally, I don't know. I think it just depends on what you enjoy and what you would like. But the workload wasn't too bad with food and nutrition, which was really good. But like don't let yourself slip on it, because that's kind of what I did, and I fell a bit behind and had to catch up because I just was putting it to the back of my mind, like try not to let that happen. If you're going to let either subject fall behind, let food fall behind, but still try not to let that happen. That's what I would say.
So
yeah.
Lawrence, did you have any?
Food and nutrition, right? It was a decent subject. Like I just didn't really enjoy like the start, the first part, like the food sciencey bit. I just didn't really like that bit, even though it was like overlap with MCB, because you would be learning those lipids and carbs and proteins and whatnot.
I wouldn't say it was.
I think.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
I was just going to say, like, I wouldn't say it was my favorite subject, but like, it wasn't horrible.
Yeah. It wasn't horrible. The workload is definitely a lot lighter. It's literally like 3 lectures in a week. And was it even 3? Like it wasn't even 3 lectures, right? It was like 1 long one.
Very chill, and like the lecturers read straight off the slides. So sometimes like you don't even have to watch the lecture. You can just read the slides on the way into uni.
Yeah.
Not that I'm encouraging that, but like you can.
Okay.
All
right, next question. Lectures. Sometimes they'll point out the links. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, you heard about this before. Yeah, this is something. They might acknowledge it, but a lot of the time you'll have to think about it yourself. Some of the exam questions ask you to link things in unexpected ways. So.
I would say they mostly tell you, but they also have like a cancer workshop at the end of each unit, which actually does a lot of the linking for you. Generally, if they're going to link something, it's going to be with cancer, actually, I would say. Would you guys agree?
Yep, we mentioned that before,
yeah, there's that. But also, like, if you just do, like Lawrence was talking about it, just do mind maps, and you'll, like, the links are pretty obvious, I would say. Like, once you hear a word in a topic, you'll be like, oh, that's like this receptor and this pathway. Like, you'll be fine. You'll be able to tell the links.
As long as you know the stuff, you'll be able to link it. It's just understanding each thing separately first, okay, we have 7 minutes left before HSF. Do we have any questions to ask each other about this? Imagine if I was a Jeffy.
Not really.
Double subject, double the content. Is it double the content, or is it slightly less or slightly more than double the content of the subject?
I think it's double the content.
That's exactly right. It's like 70 something lectures plus some modules. So
Like doing
Yeah.
MCB, I was trying to like imagine doing that with 2 other subjects and I just couldn't physically wrap my head around it. So
I don't have to say that, but yeah, but we have friends that do. Like Sienna did. Like
yeah,
it's a good full loaded. So one, she was fine. So.
yeah. It just depends on like just know your own stress levels. I know mine and mine are pretty high. So I was never going to fully load for a semester. And there's no shame in admitting that you need to give yourself that.
Yeah, we all definitely did. I can't imagine doing another one. Oh my God. Best decision for me personally. Not for everyone, but for me personally.
Oh yeah. And for our summer subject, we did world music choir, which I highly recommend for it.
In front of other people. Oh no. It's just, yeah, you go to the first lesson, you're like, oh my God, this thing, but it's good. Yeah, if you have any questions about actually summer subjects, maybe ask us in the next 5 minutes, because a lot of them are quota based. The good ones go fast. So like enrollment's already open for a few days now. If you want to place cricket role.
Feel too rushed. How long do they take? So I think our opinion of summer subjects is a bit different because we have done summer subjects that are like music based. So it's not very content heavy. And to be honest, they don't feel that rushed. It just feels like you're doing about 4 weeks worth of content. Like as biomed kids, you're going to be like, oh, this is
fine. I can actually live my life.
Yeah.
But I think there's different types of summer subjects. Just look at the time period. Some of them go over like 4 weeks, some go over 2 weeks. Some are like every day for 2 weeks. It's like, we haven't done that yet ourselves, so I can't really say much about that. That would probably be pretty full on.
I think part of the difference is like intensives are a bit different. I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think that's the differentiation. I would just have a question about history of nature or wellbeing, performance, and education as a summer subject. I haven't personally done either of those, but I was looking at wellbeing performance for myself. So beyond sounds like a cool subject. I don't really know much about it. Sorry.
That's not the well-being one. No, because there's another well-being one people do, right? I think Josh did it. It's like sem one though.
There's a well-being one that you can do, like well-being and music. You can do that with the subject. Like if you were going to do 3 subjects in a semester, like that's one of the ones that you could probably do pretty well.
I'm personally thinking about that right now, maybe. Mary's question: do you guys recommend doing breadth? So most summer subjects would be breadth subjects. There's a very limited selection in winter. There is still a decently limited selection in summer. Subjects that you can do.
I don't think there are any selectives, are there?
I don't think so. There wasn't I don't remember seeing a science.
Maths. I know there's like maths ones and like.
You can do Calc 2, maybe.
There's like Calc. Yeah, there's like Calc 2. There's like I'm pretty sure there's like a physics one. Physics 2. There's like those are kind of more sciencey, but I feel like those like intensives. Those are like really intense. I feel like there's a lot of content to go through.
There is no ETA summer subject, I don't think.
Well, not that I know of. There might be.
You can change it here. Look on handbook, and there's like a little filter.
If
you just filter it.
If you go on handbook, there's a filter on the side where you can pick your term or your semester or whatever, and you can pick summer term. So if you want to have a look for summer subjects, have a look there.
I think the last thing, I guess, just to say with picking selectives and breadths. So selective versus breadth. Selective is like, I don't know, science-based, right? Just very vaguely speaking. It's kind of like more in line with your actual concept from biomed. Breadth is like, arts, might write an essay for law, you might learn about history. We would recommend, speak for all of us, we would probably recommend doing selectives in second year, right? Because they're generally harder, people find. Because third year for med, you want to prioritize breadths. Is it?
Are selectives? To be honest, I kind of forget how it works, but I think you have to do a selective in second year.
You have to do it in second year, because I thought you could pick to do it in third year, but we all did it in second year anyway.
I'm not sure. I think there's a quota of selectives that you have to do, and I don't remember if just doing them in second year fills that quota.
No, it's only 2 selectives, so just 1 in each sem is enough. Yeah, I think. But I'm thinking maybe you could do them in third year instead. but I'm saying don't maybe don't do that. But yeah.
I
Because
think you just need 4 breadths.
Hmm.
I think you just need 4 breadths for your whole degree. Like as long as you've done 4 breadths, like breadths meaning like it's out of the sciencey area, like music, commerce, arts, or something like that. You just need to fill up 4 in your blank spaces, and you can fill the rest up with your sciencey kind of selectives like food, or what I did was MIMS in second semester.
there's a
But yeah,
range.
you can do more than 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a minimum and maximum of breadths selectives you can do. Okay, I think we're gonna have to close this because I gotta hop off to the next thing. Okay. Actually, I think maybe I'll keep this link. If anyone's staying for HSF, I'll just use this link. And oh wait, who's the host?
You're the host, right?
Am I still the host? Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'll just post this link on. Okay.
Who's doing HSF with you?
Zaki.